The Trump administration just gave Argentina $20 billion. $20 billion of our tax dollars to Argentina. According to the New York Times, Argentina is a different story. The Treasury Department has been working to prop up its sputtering economy. On Wednesday, Mr. Bissett declared that the United States was ready to extend a $20 billion lifeline. The moves are intended to buttress the fortunes of Javier Milei, Argentina's embattled president, whom the orange buffoon Trump sees as a kindred political spirit. So
let me tell you about a crime. The felon is sending $20 billion to bail out Argentina. He says it's to help the president, who is a fan of the felon, and ruin the economy like the felon is doing here. But then there's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who has an old buddy, Robert Citrone, who bet big on Argentina and is about to lose his shirt. But Bobby doesn't have to worry because Bessent and the felon swoop in with a taxpayer-funded lifeline, which will make his bonds golden again. And this
News from the forest. In America Has Gone South news, the nation of Argentina is circling the drain. Counterclockwise, because it's beneath the equator. Worse, it's failing because they did all the things we did here. Slashing essential services, its leader cosplaying with a chainsaw like a dork, and rewarding corruption and incompetence while its people suffer. In other words, the Elon Musk model.
Breaking news, another country is about to go broke, and that country is Argentina. Argentina is facing sharp volatility with their bond prices plunging and their peso weakening. And this has left them in a space where they may need to get bailed out. And the United States might be their lifeline to make sure they don't go broke. And we can see that as of yesterday, the United States is ready to support Argentina with a $20 billion swap line. And digging a little bit deeper, you can see that the U.S. is ready to buy some of that government debt from Argentina. So there's two things that's happening here. The first one is that the United States is offering a $20 billion swap line, which we'll talk about what that is in just a second. And the second one is the United States is also saying, hey, we'll buy some of those bonds to help strengthen your economy.
So that is why Trump is giving a $20 billion bailout to Argentina. Now it makes sense. Okay, so you heard about this, right? As our government prepares to shut down because Trump refuses to give healthcare coverage to Americans, he instead is giving $20 billion cash to the insane, failed regime of Javier Milei. Why? Corruption, of course. What the hell else could it be? So this is our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, the man getting filthy rich off the tariffs.
Trump supporters, what do you think about giving Argentina $20 billion this week and then them turning around and reducing the export tax and selling soybeans to China and farmers begging for help?
Republicans in farm country are utterly livid at the Trump administration for an, frankly, inscrutable, utterly outrageous bailout that it made to Argentina last week. But why are farmers angry? So here's why. Because of Trump's trade war with China, China has bought 0 soybeans from American farmers this year. China eats about 2/3 of all the soybeans around the world. Last year, China, I think, accounted for about 52% of soybean purchases. So in other words, without China buying soybeans from U.S. farmers, our farmers are utterly screwed. Now,
breaking news. This is really bad news for President Trump, but unfortunately it's bad news for us too. President Trump is going to give $20 billion to bail out his friend Milei in Argentina. If you don't remember Milei, this is what you need to know. People, including the New York Times, have been criticizing Trump for copying Milei's economic policies. He's famously the person who gave the chainsaw to Elon Musk, telling him to eliminate so-called waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, Milei has had a couple more years to implement these policies than Trump, and just 2 weeks ago, I saw footage on the news of people throwing rocks and chasing Milei and his limousine through the streets.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for your support and thank you so much for clicking on this video. So the story of Trump's bailout to Argentina has quickly turned into a storm of anger, especially among the very people who are supposed to be his strongest supporters, MAGA farmers. On the surface, the bailout looks like a bold move by Trump to help Argentina stabilize its economy and strengthen ties with its right-wing president. But in reality, this bailout has sparked a wave of frustration across America's farming communities, who see it as a direct threat to their livelihood. Let's get to the video, but before, let me play a few clips on the scene and I'll be back with my own commentary. All credits goes to the original creators of each and every video you see here.
Basically, he's giving them a bailout because he wants to be friends with the Argentina president. By offering economic support to Argentina, the orange buffoon and his administration is wading into precarious politics of bailouts, which Republicans traditionally loathe. But I bet you because he says it, they're not going to care anymore. By using America's economic power to influence another country's election, the president is tying the United States to the financial fate of Argentina, which has been plagued for decades with surging inflation and rapid debt. Well, American farmers are not liking this. The move has been rebuked by American agriculture groups whose members have been hurt by the orange buffoon trade war with China and are anxiously waiting for economic support. So the farmers in America are waiting for a bailout. China stopped buying American agricultural products such as soybeans after the orange buffoon decision to impose tariffs on China import. Instead, China has been purchasing soybeans from Brazil and Argentina, where they are now less expensive than U.S. soybeans because of China's retaliatory tariffs, raising fears across rural America of a looming farm crisis. The American Soybean Association, which has been lobbying for economic support for farmers, said that the frustration is overwhelming. The group pointed out that Argentina just lowered its export taxes so that it could sell even more soybeans to China, further undercutting the United States farmers who face high Chinese tariffs. U.S. soybean prices are falling. Harvest is underway. The farmers read headlines not about securing a trade agreement with China, but the U.S. government is extending $20 billion in economic support to Argentina, said Caleb Ragland, the president of the American Soybean Association. So you screw the farmers here with all these tariffs. China does a retaliatory tariff, so now no one's buying the soybeans from American farmers, and Argentina just lowered their export tax so that China could buy more from them. Yet we are giving Argentina $20 billion. You're cutting all these programs for Americans. Doge cut every fucking thing, but we have $20 billion to give to Argentina? Why are we even paying taxes at this point? We don't benefit from our own tax dollars. They are just using our money like an 18-year-old with a credit card. And let's not forget, he's just tariffing the pharmaceuticals that we get from other countries. How is this American first? How is this America first? Why do we pay taxes if we don't benefit from the money we give the government? This shit is insane. When are you guys gonna get mad enough?
But wait, why is he and his friend Robert Citron buying up Argentina's bonds lately? Yep, this is Robert Citron, Bacen's billionaire buddy. They're good friends, they've worked together a long time, and he has been investing heavily into Argentina ever since Milei took over. Which, as you can imagine, is not going very well for him. So this bailout will directly benefit Citron and presumably every member of Trump's administration who was given insider tips about this in advance. Oh, and look at this. China is buying Argentina's soybeans since they canceled all U.S. orders.
Why? Because Milei wound up cutting people's pensions, destroying public schools, privatizing everything, and the economic pain has come home to roost. Remember, Milei has done everything Trump is doing, but has a couple years' time ahead of him for his policies to sink in. If you don't know about Milei, he's like Trump to a T. I went and did a little research to see recent stories. He's got crypto scams in the news. He's in trouble for using AI to slander a reporter. The same old things. Attack on vaccines, attack on public education, attack on anyone who has any kind of expertise that can challenge the political lunacy of people in it just to bankrupt a country. So why is Trump going to give $20 billion of our taxpayer money to this guy now? Well, because the midterms are coming up in Argentina, and he is super unpopular, as you could imagine. But ultimately, it's bad for Trump because awareness is building around the world. Everybody's beginning to see the pattern. Pretend to be a friend of the working class, then go and slash the social safety net, slash wages, slash worker protections. And then, when the economy crashes, blame it on the poor and find someone to bail you out.
Let's talk about this $20 billion swap line that the United States is offering Argentina, and then we'll talk about how the United States is able to buy bonds from Argentina. You see, both the United States and Argentina have a central bank, and they're both part of the International Monetary Fund. So when a country extends a credit line to another country, essentially what they're saying is give us some of your currency as collateral for this access to the credit line that we've given you. So basically, it's just a swapping of currencies. Since the United States is a little bit more stable than the peso is right now, the United States is basically saying, hey, we'll just allow you to swap your currency for ours to create a little bit more strength for your buying power. Now, very similar to a bank, since Argentina will be borrowing money from the U.S., they have to repay the money that they actually borrow from this credit swap. Plus, there's going to be interest as well. So the easiest way to think about it is a country walks into a bank and says, hey, we need a credit line of $20 billion. The bank gives access to that $20 billion and the country borrows as much as they want, and then they have to repay that money. But again, they have to pay it with interest. Now, again, how this helps Argentina is it gives them a stronger currency to buy things with. So that'll create a little bit more stability for their economy. And it works for the United States because now you're basically just loaning a country money and they're going to pay you back with interest. But now let's talk about those bonds that the United States might buy. So you can see that the U.S. is also set to deliver significant standby credit via the Exchange Stability Fund. So the way I want you to think about the Exchange Stabilization Fund is it's basically just a slush fund for the Treasury. So the Treasury can use this slush fund to manage currency crises. And it can also be used to lend to other countries or buy assets or currencies or bonds or anything that'll help strengthen the U.S. dollar. Now, the thing about this slush fund is it doesn't need government approval for how the funds are utilized. It's up to the Treasury's discretion. So if they feel like it's a good investment to lend to Argentina in order to get a good return on investment, they can use it for that. Now, it's important to note that this deal has not been done yet, but the offer is on the table if Argentina does need the lifeline. So we'll have to wait and see how Argentina responds to this crisis.
Musk and our Treasury Secretary both actually encouraged investment in Argentina, and now those investments, like the country, are underwater and need rescuing because our rich guy welfare knows no boundaries. So the United States is lending a purple hand. Well, Argentina wanted a green one, full of $20 billion. It's the most American dollars to head to South America since Don Jr.'s bachelor party. You see, we saved all that money by not giving veterans health care or feeding poor children. Besides, what could be more American than helping a nation that opened its doors to Joseph Mengele after World War II, RFK Jr.'s eugenics hero? So we're handing U.S. taxpayer money to depraved, incompetent right-wingers, no matter how much they fail. The Elon Musk model. With this cash infusion, our gaucho amigos have been able to keep their soybean prices low for China, while Americans can go on keeping other soybeans rotting and unsold due to Trump's illegal tariff war. A win-win if you're Chinese or Argentinian or a hedge fund manager. If you're an American farmer, you just say, soy un perdedor. But hey, most of them owned the libs that last election, so totally worth it. They bet the farm, and now they can go buy the farm. But don't cry for them, Argentina. Actually, our farmers would like a bailout, like Argentina, but unfortunately, it takes two to tango. So they have to sit and wait and pray to their Orange Evita, who really cares about their plight.
For years, American farmers have carried the weight of trade wars, tariffs, and unpredictable markets. Many of them stuck with Trump through it all, believing his quote-unquote America First message meant their needs would come before anyone else. But now, those same farmers are watching as billions of US dollars are used to help Argentina, a country that is already competing against them in global markets, especially in soybeans. Here's the issue. Argentina has been lowering export taxes on grains, making its soybeans cheaper to sell abroad. With the bailout, Argentina gains a stronger financial footing, and that means they can export even more at competitive prices. For American farmers, this is terrible news. China, one of the biggest buyers of soybeans in the world, has already turned to Argentina in recent months. Every shipload of soya that leaves South America is one less opportunity for farmers in Iowa, Nebraska, and across the Midwest. The contradiction is clear. While Trump has always promised to put American workers and producers first, this bailout seems to do the exact opposite. Farmers are asking why U.S. taxpayers should bankroll a foreign government that is actively undercutting their crops on the world stage. It feels like a betrayal, and some are even calling it the biggest slap in the face yet from an administration they once trusted. Farmers are not the only ones voicing concern. Lawmakers from agricultural states are also raising alarms. The senator of Iowa has openly criticized the bailout, pointing out that Iowa farmers are struggling to keep their farms afloat while Argentina gets a lifeline. Groups like the American Soybean Association have warned that U.S. farmers cannot survive if the government continues to strengthen their biggest competitors instead of protecting them. So why is Trump pushing this deal so hard? Supporters argue that it's about geopolitics, keeping Argentina close to the US and out of China's orbit. They say it's about securing influence in Latin America and backing a political ally in Milei. But for farmers on the ground, these high-level strategies don't pay the bills. They don't buy seed, they don't buy fertilizers or diesel for fuel. What they see is simple. America is giving billions to another country while their own farms are barely hanging on. There is also a question of fairness. Many Americans are asking why there is always money for foreign bailouts but not enough for struggling families, workers, and rural communities. With hospitals closing in farm towns, inflation hitting hard, and subsidies being cut, it's no wonder farmers feel abandoned. To them, the bailout is a proof that the government priorities are upside down. The anger is growing. On social media, farmers have been blunt, accusing Trump of selling them out. Some are even beginning to question whether their loyalty has been misplaced. That is a major warning sign for Trump because farmers have long been a crucial part of his political base. If they begin to doubt him, the impact could be serious, not just in agriculture, but in politics too. The Argentina bailout has exposed a major contradiction. On one hand, Trump wants to appear tough on foreign competitors and loyal to American producers. On the other hand, this bailout shows that he is willing to spend American money in ways that hurt those same producers. It highlights the gaps between political slogans and economic reality. In the end, the question farmers are asking is simple. Who is really benefiting from this deal? Argentina gets a stronger economy. Investors may get profit from Argentina bet. Politicians get talking points about alliances and influence. But for farmers in Iowa or Nebraska, there is no benefit. Only more competition and lower prices for their crops. That's why so many MAGA farmers feel betrayed. They believed in the promise of quote-unquote America first, but what they are seeing now looks more like Argentina first. And if nothing changes, that frustration could grow into something far more damaging for Trump's political future. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.